On Sunday, we saw how Jacob's meeting with God makes such a difference to how he treats Esau. Now, religious people do tend to cling to the idea that someone's relationship with God is a completely separate thing from their other relationships with neighbours, friends and family. Well, after all, God is so special. It stands to reason that meeting with him is an encounter like no other. True that, but it is also true that any genuine meeting with him will leave its mark on all other encounters. Let's go from Genesis to the Gospel of Luke and see how Jesus deals with this. First of all, that famous story, the one about the Good Samaritan, Luke 10:25-37. The expert in the law here fully knows that the law is summed up by the two commandments: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbour as yourself. He fully knows that. At the heart of Jesus' story, though, there is this dilemma for priest and Levite. If they stop for this man on the road, will they be ruling themselves out of service in the temple later? It's a question of priorities, isn't it? And they've got the answer wrong, because they're being shown up by a Samaritan. What kind of meeting with what kind of God requires you to leave a man for dead on the road on your way to it? This is just a story though, isn't it? Surely those experts in the law wouldn't actually have made such a basic mistake in real life, or would they? Jesus knows what he's talking about. Think of the account of the man with the shriveled hand, Luke 6:6-11. If the Pharisees and the teachers of the law get their way on this occasion, what kind of taste does this man get of reconciliation with God? Well, that's not what they're thinking of. In fact, this man, is not who they're thinking of. All they're thinking of is how to get one over on Jesus and retain their high standing with the people as experts in the law. It's all done in the name of keeping the commandments, prioritising the relationship with God. But what sort of an encounter with what sort of God enables you to treat people the way they are treating this man with the shriveled hand, and the way they are treating Jesus? Jesus, of course, knows exactly what kind of God these people know, and he knows it in the most emphatic, visceral way possible. That truth is locked into his own physical experience. Think of the time when Jesus is anointed by a sinful woman, Luke 7:36-50. Everyone around that table thinks that if anyone knows God here, it's Simon the Pharisee. If anyone doesn't, it's that sinful woman. Jesus knows it is completely the other way round. How does he know? Well, he doesn't measure how well they know their Bibles or how much they have to contribute to a discussion on the law. He can see a level of gratitude in the woman that simply isn't there in the man. He knows that true gratitude to God can't be held inside. It finds its expression however it can. Basically, if God's not around, I'll give it to you. He can feel that woman's gratitude to God as the oil and the tears touch his body. Jesus knows what he is talking about. When he sees the guests at another meal picking the places of honour at the table, that's Luke 14:7-14, he is seeing behaviour that does not speak of a relationship with God. They may well be jockeying for position based upon their knowledge of the law and their prowess as teachers, but what they're actually revealing is the poverty of their knowledge of God. What kind of an encounter with what kind of God leaves you free to shuffle around the guests at the party so as to make yourself look good? What kind of an encounter with what kind of God means that the only people who get an invite to your table are the ones who can give you a leg up the so-called spiritual greasy pole? Meanwhile, unannounced, God has turned up and he's watching you from the other side of the table. How embarrassing when you find out. We need to take the warning because God does have this habit of turning up and showing a lot less interest than we think he should in styles of services and the choices of words and hymns. He's more interested, it seems, in how life's losers get treated at our hands. And he takes that very, very personally. So if we find ourselves choosing between loving our God and loving our neighbour, there's a fair chance we've gone astray somewhere, wouldn't you say? If you have been, thank you for listening.